The island's spectacular coastal scenery is one of our greatest treasures, but sadly, it's a treasure that's rapidly being spent. Every year, more and more stunning views disappear behind walls of seaside cottages. Well, there is someone who's doing something about it. John Jeffrey takes a look tonight at the work of the Montgomery Land Trust.
Park Corner, just east of Kensington. Here there are spectacular views of land and sea, white sand, rugged bluffs and crashing waves. This is Cousin Shore, and it was a catalyst for the creation of the Montgomery Trust back in 1994. Cousin Shore is a perfect island land and seascape, but the owner and a developer wanted to turn it into a large cottage subdivision to exploit this scenery, and that was met with a lot of local and provincial opposition. The most vocal opponent was the late Marc Gallant. He raged about the inappropriateness of changing the land.
If we don't have the courage, if we don't have the determination to protect this province, however difficult that might be, we're going to end up losing it. 20 years from now, there'll be none of this left. Islanders will have no access to it. There'll be no trespassing signs, and we'll have no access to our own beaches.
Of course, at Cousin Shore now there's a hodgepodge of cottage developments and survey stakes through the field, promises of future homes and more cottages. But there's also farmland here, and it could be preserved that way for a long time. Part of this field was acquired by the Montgomery Land Trust, which was created in 1994 after the outrage over Cousin Shore. The trust resold the land to a farmer with a non-development covenant attached.
The land trust has to be around to monitor that. I mean, it's certainly attached to the deed, and it's a legal agreement. But I think the people on the land trust now and our ancestors are going to have to be vigilant just to make sure that that is enforced into the future.
The Montgomery Trust is trying to preserve some of the most remarkable vistas on Prince Edward Island between French River and Seaview. Peter Rukavina and the Honourable Marion Reid, a former Lieutenant Governor, are on the board of directors.
Well, where could you find the ocean, the beautiful Gulf, the blue Gulf this morning that's so beautiful, the richness of the land, the vivid reds of the cliffs, and the green grass. It's the panoramic view that, look, people would pay anything for. Yes, absolutely. It would all be bought up if it were not preserved. And it can be farmed, and it can be there for everyone to enjoy. And that's the wonderful thing about it. That's what the Trust does. It's there for everyone to enjoy.
The Trust bought this property at Cape Tryon near the lighthouse. With its craggy cliffs and brilliant sea, this is another perfect place on this island. The Trust resold the land to Wayne Cousins, a farmer who is also on the Trust board.
Back in the late 80s, they done the coastal review study, and from Princetown Point to New London Harbour, there was 900 lots that was developed but not built on, and they're dotted here and there in amongst the agriculture community. And it appears to me that when these developments get up and get going, the people that buy them, they want to tell fellows like me when I can spread that manure or what I can do with it. And I guess that was one of my concerns of getting involved with the Land Trust.
Gives you that kind of peacefulness that I think every islander knows and identifies so strongly with the land. Because for years we couldn't own our own land, and now we can. And we're not willingly going to give up our land and not have the beautiful vistas that we have done so much for us through the years.
The rest of this property from here to the harbour is owned by foreigners. This next piece of property here is owned. It was one farm, 2 sections there, and it's owned by people from the States. And the next farm, the next state, is owned from a fellow from the States. And when you get beyond that, there's about 90 acres down there that's owned by somebody in England.
In 8 years, the Montgomery Trust has only acquired the 2 parcels of land, 38 acres at Cousin Shore and the 45 acres here at Cape Tryon. And the prices are going up. They used to be $3,000 an acre, now it's $12,000 to $15,000. And there's more and more pressure on these spectacular pieces of property that exist all across the island. And that's only going to continue.
It's like everything else. We need money to buy. We don't expect people to give us the land. All we want to do is, we don't want to own the land, but we want to identify the land, that it will be there always kept in agricultural use. That is our goal. And so in that way you will preserve the panoramic views.
It's a struggle. There are like-minded people, and that's our greatest source of income. Islanders and visitors to the island, and people who love the island are willing to donate their funds to us. We can on occasion turn to government for funds, but that's not a great source of revenue for us. Basically it's just feet on the floor and knocking on doors and trying to raise money $1 at a time.
It's windy and wild on the bluffs of Cousin Shore and Cape Tryon. The grass swirls in the wind, there's lobster boats smashing through the waves, and tractors stirring up red soil, silhouetted by the sea.
Sometimes you don't miss something till it's gone, and then it's too late. So we're trying to prevent that happening, and that's why I'm on this land trust, because I think it's terribly important. There's a lot of things you can do without when you get older, but if you can look out and see that kind of beauty, it does a great deal for your spirits and for your soul.
That story from John Jeffrey. We'll be right back with Boomer and your forecast.